Late-breaking weather across southern Arizona tonight. Here's a video from the northwest side. Widespread rain coming down, causing some slick streets for us to be driving on. It's been raining most of the night, and it's not going anywhere for quite a few hours.
So let's get straight over to Chief Meteorologist Lisa Villegas tracking the storms, and we did see some flooding out there too.
Yes, definitely seeing that ponding, at least across the roadways. Now, the widespread activity still out there, but a little more scattered in nature from areas like Lukeville, Ajo, stretching all the way to Safford, Delieville, down into Wilcox, and just outside of Tucson. So zooming in, we're absolutely seeing that light, steady rain continuing, a little more heavy in parts of the higher elevations. I'm talking about Lemon, the Rincon Mountains, and expanding up Dudleyville all the way to Safford, still seeing that consistent rain. In fact, we do have a flood watch in effect, highlighted in the green from Oro Valley, Tucson, down through Green Valley, 3 points over to Vail. Higher elevations expecting 3 to 4 inches of rain. So we're watching for that runoff water to affect your commute, especially on your way home or even by tomorrow morning. And in fact, as we expand out, that continues for Delieville, Salmonwell, and also into Safford. More details on what you can expect tonight coming up.
The yeas are 300, the nays are 128.
Another shutdown showdown avoided. President Donald Trump says he will sign a border funding bill passed tonight by Congress. But White House sources say the president will also declare a national emergency tomorrow. He's expected to request $8 billion this time to build a border wall. Democrats call that move a mistake.
Declaring a national emergency would be a lawless act, a gross abuse of the power of the presidency.
Congress could vote on resolutions to stop the president from shifting money to that building of the wall.
We're seeing about a caravan every week.
Groups of 200 to more than 300 migrants crossing the U.S.-Mexican border, giving themselves up to Border Patrol agents in the Yuma sector. But where are all those migrants now?
And are our border communities ready for more people on the way? In a story you'll see only on KOLD News 13, our Angelica Carrillo traveled to the border in Yuma to find out.
In San Luis, Yuma Sector Border Patrol agents are waiting. A seemingly quiet day has quickly been turning to this. Agents are already taking in more than 1,000 migrants into custody.
Not only breach our infrastructure, but they'll actually take the children and push them underwater in order to try to get them underneath.
We're told 97% are family units or unaccompanied children.
This is not the way you do it. The port of entry is literally a half a mile behind my back that you walk up to if you're looking for asylum, and you do it legally.
We went to the port of entry ourselves. This is one of hundreds of families waiting in line the legal way.
She says when they got here more than a month ago, they were number 93. Right now, they're number 13.
I ask if they've considered jumping.
Han pensado de cruzarse, de tratar de brincarse.
No. They've had offers, but say they won't endanger their kids. But going back isn't an option either.
No arriesgaremos nuestros hijos así de esa manera.
Estoy en el número 18.
This man from Guatemala has been waiting for 43 days, now 18th in line.
Hay días que llaman 3, otros días pues no llaman a nada.
He says that some days they call one person, 2 people, 3 people. Some days they don't call anyone. Se siente desesperado.
I ask him if he feels hopeless. He says there are days he gets frustrated, but each time a family or 2 families gets called,
Esa es la motivación que tenemos.
That's the motivation. The wait is worth it. About 5 minutes away, one of 2 main shelters in San Luis, open only at night for sleeping and eating. There's word more migrants are making their way to the San Luis area. I ask if they're ready.
¿Están preparados para algo así?
La verdad que no.
His shelter has already decided they won't accept an overflow of migrants like in Baja California.
Y ya vimos lo que pasa pues en Tijuana, que
And their capacity is only 85 beds.
esa atención médica.
He says churches and the city don't have the infrastructure or the budget to give these people the medical and sanitary attention they need. The Colorado River makes this area vulnerable, and some areas aren't covered by a fence. Agents tell me there's not one answer.
We need updated infrastructure, updated technology. We need more manpower. We need specifically the immigration laws to be changed.
Border Patrol offices here in Yuma, this is where detainees are kept for at least 72 hours before being turned over to ICE. We asked to go inside, but we're told no cameras were allowed.
They cut the bands off, they throw away their paperwork, never to be seen again.
Until they're caught and deported. Our cameras rolling as one group gets sent back to Mexico. And the cycle continues for those who crossed illegally and those waiting their turn. In Yuma, I'm Angelica Carrillo, KOLD News 13, live local, late breaking.
We're told Yuma sector had already been slated for an updated wall system in that area. That means more than 20 miles of new, higher fencing and more technology. In immigration action, the policy of sending asylum seekers to Mexico while their cases wind through the courts may violate the law. The ACLU and other civil liberty groups filed a lawsuit today saying migrants are put in danger and cannot prepare their cases adequately. They want a court order to block the policy that started at the border crossing in San Diego last month.
Tonight, candles and prayers marking 1 year since a gunman opened fire inside Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, killing 17 students and teachers. Friends and family, even strangers, coming together to remember those lost.
Trying really hard to remember them as my friends and not how I last saw them in there.
I meet with all these people. Those people are a string to my son, and visiting with those people is going to give me the opportunity to visit with my son.
Students and parents gathering at a memorial built outside the school, paying their respects and sharing memories. Others spent the day taking part in service projects in honor of those victims. Well, that tragedy occurred more than 2,000 miles away.
But what happened that day hit especially close to home for one Arizona wildcat. Damian Alameda joins us with the lessons learned from nearly losing a loved one. Dee.
Parkland, Florida calls itself a city, but really it's a small community of maybe just over 32,000 people. Located less than an hour north of Miami, it's so small there's only one high school, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. The Eagles. Their creed is once an Eagle, always an Eagle. Another way of saying family supports family. Wildcat Junior gymnast Heather Swanson is a member of that family, part of the class of 2016. And a year ago, she watched here in Tucson as a horror unfolded on the campus she loves so much, with her family in harm's way. Paint me the picture of the campus before.
I just say it's like a normal campus. You know, you have your freshman building, you have your courtyard, any normal school you could think of. Grass, green grass around it, fenced in, parking lot.
What about now?
Now you look at it and the whole fence is covered in banners saying anything about the 17.
17, a number that reflects one of the worst mass shootings in United States history.
It was just like so shocking that this event could happen like in my home, in my hometown, like somewhere I had never felt unsafe before.
Wednesday, February 14th, 2018, an off day for Arizona gymnast Heather Swanson. No practice. And like any typical Wednesday, she was home with her roommates, watching television when the first text message arrived.
My family has a group chat, like text message, and my younger brother, the one who was in school that day, like announced, he's like, there's a shooter on campus. And I'm like, excuse me, like, what do you mean?
Heather's brother, 16-year-old Gary, texted his family while hiding in the Culinary Arts Building, close to where the shooter opened fire.
And he remembers, like, when the shooting happened, like, kids just started piling in his classroom. They were shutting doors.
2,000 miles away, Heather sat helpless.
I remember calling my parents, watching, like, I turned the news on right away. Everything was just being shown.
The only relief came in the form of Gary's texts, because Gary's texts meant he was still alive.
And he just kept saying, like, I love you in the messages, like, in case anything happened. I felt useless. There's nothing I could do. I just had to pray and hope that whatever damage has happened, it was the limited it could be.
The damage was significant. 17 individuals, both students and faculty, were killed.
One of my teammates, she goes to actually University of Iowa, Alex Greenwald, because she graduated last year, one of her lifetime best friends was a swimmer named Nicholas, and he was killed tonight as well, and she was just completely, I don't even know how to explain it. I can't imagine having that happen. I can't imagine my family without my brother. It just wouldn't be the same.
But the truth is, nothing has been the same for Parkland, Florida since.
I love the community and how it's changed and how everyone is so close now. It was a tragic event, but people are coming back from it and they're making a difference in a way they can.
Like in the form of a song. What's the significance of the song that you used for the uneven bars?
So the song I picked was the song that the choir at Stoneman Douglas came up with after the shooting had happened, to show that they're going to overcome this and they're going to come back better.
What's the name of the song?
It's called Shine.
Are there any specific lyrics that stand out?
It goes, "You're not going to knock us down, we'll get back up again."
You're not going to knock us down, we'll get back up again.
I think that's true for all life. No matter what, you can have something bad happen to you, but it's how you overcome it and what you make of yourself after it that matters.
12 months after the shooting, what matters most for Heather Swanson is ensuring the memories of those 17 live on. What does the number 17 mean now?
The number 17 means to not take what you have for granted. So I try to be more connected with my family and friends and just remember that I'm lucky to have them with me right now, because things could be different.
Saturday, Arizona Gymnastics visits UCLA, and when the Wildcats take the mat, they'll have either the number 17 or the initials MSD written on the backs of their hands. They'll also be wearing maroon ribbons, Stoneman Douglas's school colors. When I asked her to explain the tribute, Swanson told me it was a reminder that they'll represent more than just the team. They'll represent those who lost loved ones, those whose children didn't have the chance to go to college. In other words, they'll represent a bigger picture.
Live, local, late breaking. You're watching KOLD News 13 live at 10.
Good evening. New at 10, we're learning more about an inmate killed during some kind of fight with a corrections officer.
It happened at the Pima County Jail. KOLD News 13's Melissa Egan is live at the jail off Silver Lake in Mission. And Melissa, do we know how this started yet?
Dan, we don't know. All the Pima County Sheriff's Department has said is the corrections officer had to use force with that 53-year-old man. Now, that force could have been needed for anything ranging from either an attack or just to detain that inmate. What we do know is that it all happened around 2 o'clock today inside the Pima County Jail. We're told life-saving measures were taken, but the inmate died from those injuries sustained in this incident. The corrections officer was not injured. Now, the term use of force encounter is being used for this situation. So take a look at your screen. Those are some of the options the Sheriff's Department says the corrections officers can use. It includes soft, empty hand control techniques, which would be something maybe like a grab or a hold. There's also a hard technique that could be a punch or a kick to restrain someone. Now, the Sheriff's Department says it doesn't look like pepper spray was used in this incident. They are also not releasing the identity of the inmate. Per standard protocol, this case will be handed over to the department's Criminal Investigations Division. For now, off Silver Lake near Mission, Melissa Egan, KOLD News 13, live local late breaking.
Thanks, Melissa. A former correctional officer in Douglas is sentenced to 60 years in prison for making and sharing child pornography. The KOLD News 13 crime team has learned 33-year-old Jose Eduardo Cota will be in lifetime supervised probation after serving time in prison, and he must register as a sex offender. Homeland Security investigators found videos showing kids sexually abused in a different case in 2017 and then tracking those to Cota. He later pleaded guilty to the production of child porn. $1 million, that's the bond tonight for the man who's linked to several cold case murders and a rape in Ohio. Samuel Legg III recently lived in Tucson. He was extradited from Arizona yesterday back to Ohio, and today he's facing rape and murder charges. He was in court for the first time as well. More are expected as investigators are still working on indictments for 3 murders. Police say DNA testing linked him to the crimes.
New at 10, a man is dead after a tense hours-long standoff involving a UPS truck in San Jose, California. Investigators say he carjacked the truck with other people inside, taking them as hostages. They eventually were released without being hurt. At one point, the suspect did get out of the truck and tried to run. We're told shots were fired and the man is dead, but it's not clear if he shot himself or if officers shot him. The lockdown is lifted tonight at Netflix and the KTLA News studio in Los Angeles after a report of a person with a gun. According to KTLA, a Netflix employee who had recently been fired called in a threat to a former coworker. The suspect was never on the property and was taken into custody.
To the Trump presidency now, senators confirming the president's nominee for Attorney General. Kyrsten Sinema was one of the only Democratic senators to vote in favor of William Barr. Senator Martha McSally also voting yes to confirm him. After the vote, Barr was sworn into office. During his recent confirmation hearings, he said distancing himself from Washington has made him more independent. Lawmakers in Washington paying respects to the late Congressman John Dingell. A funeral was held in his honor. Speakers at the service included former President Bill Clinton and House Speaker John Boehner. Dingell was the longest-serving Congress member in American history. He represented his district in Michigan for more than 59 years.
Now, in campaign 2020, early signs that it may be a tight race in the special election for U.S. Senate here in Arizona. Former astronaut Mark Kelly only announced his run 3 days ago with this online video. But tonight, a new poll shows Kelly is neck and neck with incumbent Republican Martha McSally, just 2 points separating them. 10% of likely voters undecided. Democratic Congressman Ruben Gallego is expected to announce he's running soon. The poll shows right now voters prefer McSally to Gallego, 49 to 41%. Dan?
Well, Brooke, new details tonight. Arizona's now had 10,000 people diagnosed with the flu since the season started last fall. While that sounds like a lot, we're still less than the average number of cases compared to the past few years. Pima County has had 1,400 so far. We don't usually see a big drop-off in flu cases until spring, so it's still worth getting a flu shot, according to doctors. Elfrida Elementary School in Cochise County will remain closed tomorrow due to a widespread flu outbreak there. About a third of the students called out sick on Tuesday. Employees disinfecting the classrooms and buses during this closure. Kids are scheduled to be back in school on Tuesday.
Happening now, California is recovering from flooding and destructive mudslides. Overnight, a mudslide sent 2 homes hurtling down a hill in Sausalito. The rain is also flooding roads in wine country, turning them into rivers. Crews had to rescue some people from their stranded cars near Palm Springs. Flooding not just in California. Take a look at Las Vegas. Crews responded to several calls for help today from floodwaters. 4 men were rescued from a wash under a bridge, and another person whose car got stuck on a flooded road as well. And that is the very system that's hitting us now. You may have seen some flooding or pooling on your own street tonight.
Yeah, those low-lying areas. Chief Meteorologist Lisa Villegas is here now with more on our late-breaking weather.
Yeah, and we do have a flood watch in effect for a lot of the areas, so let's get right to it. Here's a look at the first alert Doppler radar. It is an action aid due to this widespread rain, becoming a little more scattered in nature now, which is a good thing because of all the rain that has already accumulated. And I'll tell you what, It's over about a half an inch. Now zooming in, still seeing that light rain picking up across parts of South Tucson now along Valencia Road into parts of the Catalina foothills up to Oro Valley and atop of Mount Lemmon in the Catalina foothills, the Catalina Mountains, I should say, and then the Rincon Mountains. And as we expand out over to Wilcox in between Benson, right along I-10, the roads are still pretty slick. Right along 3 Links Road as well, you're still dealing with that consistent moderate rain. And here is a look at where we're seeing the flood watch in effect as of right now and continuing until tomorrow morning. Higher elevations expecting up to 4 inches of rain. So that, of course, will flow downstream, and we're watching for the washes to fill up and, of course, the flooding concern. Not just here, but we're also expecting that in parts of Mammoth and also Dudleyville and Safford. Now, as we fast forward, it doesn't look like this is actually populating right now as far as my futurecast goes, but we are continuing to expect some isolated showers throughout the evening, of course, scattered in nature. So here's a look at some of the rain totals I've seen so far. Over a half an inch across parts of the east side, nearly there across Tucson in the city, 0.35 inches across the Catalina foothills, and this is only the beginning numbers. By tomorrow morning, wouldn't be surprised if we see over half an inch, at least across parts of Tucson. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like some of my models are populating right now, but as far as the potential rainfall goes, an additional 1/4 of an inch absolutely possible here tonight. By tomorrow, we will eventually clear out. We'll see that cloud cover breaking for more sunshine in the afternoon hours. Just have to get through the morning commute. So if I were you, just set that alarm an extra 10 minutes ahead of time. 66 degrees expected for the high. And let's focus on the weekend briefly. Temperatures in the 50s, so significantly cooler, partly cloudy skies, breezy. Overnight lows are going to drop into the 30s, so very cold. And then we have this guy, another first alert action day taking place on Monday. Notice the temperature, 48 degrees expected for the high there. So it is going to be very, very cold. And then, of course, as we finish out the week, we are expecting those overnight lows to drop. So by Tuesday morning, I still have rain chances, or should I say snow chances in the mix, and that is because of those freezing temperatures across parts of Tucson, Sierra Vista, areas like Safford. I think we'll see light dusting into Wilcox, and we'll absolutely expect snow across parts of Mount Lemmon. So wouldn't be surprised if we see over 5 inches of snow.
Time to go play.
Oh yeah.
Sounds good.
Well, things are not getting better for Arizona basketball.
The Wildcats fall again.
Here are tonight's Fantasy 5 winning numbers from your Arizona Lottery. 20, 29, 30, 38, 39. Get all this week's winning numbers at ArizonaLottery.com. And remember, you can't win if you don't play. Arizona, your teams, your players, your KOLD Sports is sponsored by Universal Men's Clinic.
And I'm David Kelly. Arizona basketball had not lost 6 games in Pac-12 play since a guy by the name of Ben Lindsay was head coach, and that was 1983, and the conference was called the Pac-10. Here's your obligatory U of A highlight. Is there anything better this season than a dunk by Ira Lee? Ira had 12 off the bench. Arizona led by 1 at the half, but Utah used a 17-2 second half run to take control of this one. Parker Van Dyke, number 5 here, the guy that hit the 3 to beat UCLA at the buzzer last weekend, he just kept shooting tonight. He made 7 threes, 23 points, 83-76 your final. Arizona has lost 6 straight conference games for the first time since they lost 14 straight Pac-10 games that 1983 year under Lindsay. Up next, Colorado on Sunday night. All right, it was a soggy start to the opening of the new Rita Hillenbrand Memorial Stadium. Rain canceled tonight's home opener for Arizona softball. The Wildcats and New Mexico Lobos were supposed to play the first of what will be a weekend of games. The official start to the annual Hillenbrand Invitational is on Friday. Now, despite no game, the Cats still christened the $8 million remodeled complex. Dobie Hillenbrand there on hand to do the honors, the wife of the late Bill Hillenbrand. He was the man responsible for building the facility back in 1993, and it has been packed ever since.
In today's world, we feel very blessed and very special, Dave, that we have a place that we can call home that I think is probably one of the nicest, if not the nicest facility for softball in the country. So thank you guys.
All right, the big game this weekend going to be Arizona against number 7 Alabama. That'll be on Saturday. First pitch scheduled for 3:45. And that's my time for tonight. Thank you very much for your time. We are coming right back.
final look at your 7-day forecast. Of course, it is an action day. We're still dealing with some moderate rain picking up across parts of the area, scattered in nature. Then we'll clear out tomorrow. Weekend looking a little chilly, breezy as well, with overnight lows falling in the 30s. Then we have another action day happening on Monday. Widespread rain, in addition to the possibility of snow Tuesday morning because of those freezing temperatures. And then we have rodeo on Thursday, 40% chance of rain with temperatures in the 40s by the time the rodeo parade actually begins.
By the way, happy birthday, Arizona. It's not just Valentine's Day. It's the state's 107th on this day in 1912. We became America's 48th state.
Back then, our population just over 200,000. Now we've got 7 million of us roaming around Arizona. So happy birthday to all of us. Looking great for 107 years old.
The most beautiful state, if I may say
Absolutely.
so myself. Have a great night.
Find great deals for food, dining, and things to do around town with the AC Weekend Rewards app. Download today.